guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new to my channel, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to do a video on TV shows that aren't what you think they might be. Today we're going to be talking about the Brownses, the Alaskan Bush People. The Alaskan Bush People before their fame. Okay, you may think that you know the Alaskan Bush People, especially if you've tuned into their TV show, which debuted in 2014. However, you might be surprised that there's a lot about the Browns family that never made it to the airways. Okay, so I'm going to show you the players in the game, and I don't think they're nearly as off-grid as what they appear to be on the show. So there's Billy Brian Brown, the patriarch of the family. And basically, he's the ultimate mastermind behind the Alaskan Bush People. Okay, so there's the father, Billy, his wife, Amy, spelled like Amy, or Amy, I think it's Amy. I've seen the show, but I honestly can't remember how they pronounce it. So they got married when she was 15 and he was 26. And then they had one son. They had more kids, but their oldest son, his name is Matt. He was born a few years later after they were married. And then they had a second son, Joshua Bam Bam Brown. And then they had a third son, Solomon Freedom Bear Brown. Solomon Freedom. Goes by Bear. And they had a fourth son, Gabriel Brown, a fifth son, Noah Brown. Then they had a daughter. They call her Bird or Birdie, so really her name is Snowbird Birdie Brown. And then they had Raindrop Brown, Rainy, they call her Rain. And then that was it. So 5 boys, 2 girls, and it's a family that just basically lives off the grid in Alaska. And they're in like this really desolate part of Alaska. And the show claims that the Brown family brought their children up, raising them this way, off the grid in Alaska. And if you've ever seen the show, you would know what I'm talking about. It is completely off the grid, where they live off the land for decades, basically, have nothing. They have no modern appliances. There's no electricity. I mean, it really is off the grid. And so apparently he was inspired to do this because he wrote 2 books. One book called One Wave at a Time, and then a second book called The Lost Years. And so it was after those 2 memoirs and he had met Amy. This is where he began to realize that the Alaskan wilderness is where he wanted to be and where they were meant to be. And the rest is reality TV history. And so one thing about the family is that Amy, and hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly, I don't really know if I am or not, so don't at me or hate me. She has an estranged relationship with her family, mainly her mother. And then there's even an episode where, Amy is sick and she has cancer and her mother is getting old and her mother wanted to see her daughter before her passing, of either one. They actually made it into an episode where the Brownses were going to be on vacation. Apparently the mother knew that. She wanted to come to Alaska and surprise her daughter. And unfortunately they were on vacation, which apparently the mom actually already knew in advance that they would be on vacation, but chose to do it anyway, basically making more headlines and more fodder for TV. Because when she shows up, they're not there. They've had 37 years of estrangement between the 2 of them, so she wanted to surprise her daughter, show up in Alaska. This is a 3,500-mile trip, and so she goes without confirmation from them, only to find out that they were vacationing in Malibu. Okay, so this whole thing was oddly planned, and it was publicized by Amy's mother's great-nephew. His name is Chuck Gilbert. And so it looks like the great-nephew posted videos on YouTube about the great trip from Amy's mom, about the journey that she was going to be taking, and they called it Mima's Trip to Alaska. So this is clearly known ahead of time and publicized. So Amy obviously got really upset over this and accused her family of exploitation, as she should have. And so, this is just part of the reason why Amy says that this is why she never even let them know where she was at. They were estranged, her father was an alcoholic, things like this went on a lot in her family, and she just wanted to be away from it. And then there's Billy. So in season 5 of the show, Billy is reunited with one of his children. It's a supposed long-lost child that he has. I guess he has a daughter from a previous marriage that he had had before Amy. So of course the show took full advantage of this. So the show flew in his daughter up to Brownstown, that's where they live, and it was supposed to be portrayed as like a union and this happy surprise. But it didn't really work out that way because it was quickly revealed that the family was not so surprised. Not only did they know of his daughter Twyla for quite some time now, so the show is trying to make it out like they're, you know, surprising them, that there's going to be this big surprise and the family's not going to have known about Twyla, but in all reality, everybody knew about Twyla, and the show just pretty much tries to capitalize on that as it being a surprise when it's really not. Okay, so Billy was actually born into an upper middle class family in Texas, and in 1969, his parents and his only sibling were killed in a plane crash. So that left Billy being only 16 years old with no parents, orphaned, and having lost a sibling. So after that happened, Billy was 26. That's when he met Ami. And then they moved to Alaska and they were raising their children there. Then Billy led his family out of Alaska. This is where he wanted to pursue fame. And then after about 4 years, the Browns family got their big break. So then they returned back to Alaska after they got that break. And this is where they're gonna film Alaskan Bush People. So unfortunately for them, when they left Alaska, this caused a lot of problems for them coming up. And it wasn't until about a few years later. So they allegedly claimed access to Alaska's permanent dividend fund while they weren't in Alaska. They received thousands of dollars in oil revenue that they weren't legally entitled to receive. And you can actually see that in season 5 of the show where they go over that. Okay, so let's talk about Matt Brown for a second. He's the oldest and he's the most sociable probably out of all of them. So Matt had a run-in with police prior to the fame of the show. He got arrested for DUI charges back in 2013 and the show actually debuted in 2014. So right before the show he got a DUI. And so then his dad, Billy, bailed him out. Unfortunately, Matt's drinking problem did resurface throughout the show. On multiple seasons of the show, it resurfaced. And he's just been in and out of rehab since then. And even in March of 2019, Matt's conditions made headlines again. So according to Radar Online, his loved ones are concerned about his sobriety and staying sober after he scored a big payout from the show of $250,000 in 2019. Okay, now we have Joshua Bam Bam Brown. Joshua Bam Bam Brown. I think one of the most things that's noticeable about him is if you see him on YouTube before the show actually started, he has blonde hair. When you're watching the show, his hair is actually dark. So if you're hoping that they were truly a wilderness family, his hair is brown now. And so out of the 7 children, he's actually the one that is on YouTube the most. If you go look at all of them, they all have YouTube accounts. He's the one that's most active on it. He documents the aspects of his life and his body. So if you want to go check out a 6-pack, you're gonna have to head over to his YouTube channel. And then there's Solomon Freedom Bear Brown. I kind of wish they would have kept his name. I like Solomon Freedom, but he goes by Bear. I guess because it's more outdoorsy than Freedom, but I really kind of like Freedom. Okay, so you won't be able to see it because it's been deleted, but Bear has a pre-series bio on his family's website. It's since been deleted though. He suffered serious injury when he was only like 5 years old, breaking a bone like near his hip. That put him in a cast from his chest down for 3 months. I guess this incident made him more confident and fearless as a child, which gave him his basic lifestyle that he has as an extreme adult. Now we have Gabriel Brown. Gabriel Brown, he goes by Gabe. Gabe Super Sad Burns. You can actually see him on YouTube too. He actually does a video that talks about him and his family before they were actually doing the show. But it seems like since they've been on the show, there really isn't any updates to his YouTube account and videos that are in regards to the show. So it looks like he's pretty preoccupied with the Alaskan Bush People. But clearly, these kids were not raised off the grid. They all have YouTube accounts. They all have things going on with them that are not actually in line with growing up off the grid or in the wilderness. Yeah, they're in Alaska, but they definitely have access to Wi-Fi, people, which is actually just not portrayed on the show at all. There's nothing on the show that would even remotely would even make you think that these kids are even capable of operating Wi-Fi, internet, a computer, anything, camera, whatever they're doing, uploading videos. They're supposed to be off the grid. Okay, and now we have Noah Brown. His full name is Noah Dark Cloud Brown. So his nickname is Indy. And he's quite a bit of a romantic, I guess. One thing you might notice about him is that he has a potential for a limp. In the past, he had an injury and was walking with a cane for quite some time. So I guess it happened months before the first season had actually happened, but it did have a lasting effect on him. And so then Noah met his girlfriend in 2018. Her name is Rain, Alicia, I think it's Rain. And then in February of 2019, they had their first child. They had a son, and his name is Elijah Brown. And then there's Birdie Brown, their first daughter. So she was named after her mother. She's the first girl into the Brown family. So she is an animal lover, and according to their family's website, she cared for a ton of pets in the past, and it's just like her passion that she has. And so just like Bam Bam, if you go look at their family's website, I'm not sure if you can still see it or not, she used to be blonde too. Now she has noticeably darker hair off the grid. And then there's Raindrop Brown, Rainy Brown, and she's the baby of the family. So this child you're not going to see a whole lot of or know a whole lot about. There isn't really a whole lot on her except for that she's somewhat opposite of living off the grid, the Browns lifestyle, living in Brownville, and the whole outdoorsiness. She's kind of more into all things that are Barbie and anything pink. There is kind of one thing, well, there's more than one thing, but there is one thing exciting about her is that what her actual real name is. It's Merry Christmas Catherine Raindrop Brown. I wonder why we didn't hear about that before on the show. Maybe we did. I don't know. I must have missed it. That's quite the name. I think we'll just keep calling her Rainy. Anyway, so those are the players in the game. And so this is actually not just this video. This is part 1. I'm going to have part 2 and a part 3. So I look for part 2 next week. That's going to be coming out if you want to hear more. It's going to be called the video is going to be called Not What They Appear to Be, the Alaskan Bush People. And so there's going to be a lot more interesting facts in that video, so please watch for that one. And if you like the video, please make a comment or two. If you like the video, then please subscribe. And if you hated the video, please subscribe. Why not? It's free.